So a startup sounds like this. Fan shroud. There you go. Fixes that. So what I've got to do something about is that I dare say the speed bumps could be a challenge. Really close to the floor. Little to no ground clearance. But I am going to fix all that, as you'll see. You know what, the shape of this has really grown on me in the last couple of years. I really like it now. So now we've covered about 100 miles in this now. I'm still in the testing phase, and it seems to be holding up okay. I've got a few concerns that I need to address, but I think I'm going to pull it all apart soon and go through it all. So the situation is, first shakedown done. When it does the thing. And the gauge is saying 4 psi. I don't know how reliable that gauge is, because, you know, China. So I've just stuck a Blitz analog gauge on it, and I'm just going to try that, see what happens. Okay, so as you've seen from that clip, the boost gauge is right. This the Chinese boost gauge. So 4 psi it is at the turbo. Right, so I've rerouted it. I've rerouted it to the manifold. So let's see what we're getting at actual manifold pressure. I'm going to guess 2. I can't stop that from wobbling. But you get the gist. Luckily my street turns into a dual carriageway. Try and keep it. Well, what are we doing here? Time for the volume. Traffic light. Sounds bloody beautiful. Round the roundabout. So 3 psi. What a glorious sound. You tell me, is it laggy or is it not laggy? Seems alright to me. This is a bit better view of how little ground clearance there is. So I'm going to make some adjustments to that. I'm going to put the stock wheels on because that'll give me a little bit more, and I'm going to move that pipe upwards. It's what you're faced with in this country. Constant rain all the time. Ugh. So I put the stock wheels on because they lift the car up quite considerably. Yes, they look crap. Look at the arch gap with these. I really should have gone for a bigger size tyre on there. But you know, you live and learn. As soon as you put the stock ones back on with the massive profile, it instantly looks lower. Just putting those on has lifted it up almost 20 mil. I have also lifted the charge air pipe up about 20 mil as well, so the clearance is a lot better now. Yeah, I did say better, not perfect. But I've got a plan to sort that out in a future development. The paint on the car is bad this side. So now you can see it's not much lower than the exhaust. It looks pretty close there, doesn't it? But there is a reasonable gap. So this is the next piece of what's happening. Okay, that is 25 mil by 75 mil. That's what I used for underneath on the under the cross member at the front. And I'm going to run that down the body of the car underneath. It works out to like a 2.5-inch pipe. That's what I welded to it anyway. So that'll give me some better ground clearance because it's pretty small and it should flow okay, I hope. But we'll see, won't we? And obviously one thing I completely neglected to do was change the spark plugs. We've gone for just one grade colder. I haven't gone for iridium, I've just gone for some cheap copper jobs, but I don't mind swapping them more often. I got a loose connection on the motor, and that caused the insulation to shrink because it got a bit hot. So the motor stopped. I panicked and I pulled the turbo off. But luckily, it took like 5 minutes to take the turbo off, so that's a good thing. And this is the excuse I needed to pull the whole thing apart and have a good look at it. Was the only downside with driving around with no turbo when the exhaust comes up into the boot/trunk area is it does fill the car with fumes pretty quick. So yeah, that wasn't very pleasant. But now I've got the excuse to pull everything out of here, tidy it all up, and get a firewall built up between the turbo and the tank and the exhaust and all that sort of stuff. Fix any leaks, cut some bits off I don't need, sort all that rust out as well that's creeping around in there. Yeah. It's giving me the excuse to pull it all apart anyway. Especially the oil tank, I wanted to take that out. And I wasn't getting round to it. So, we're getting some There's some leaks. So this is a good time to pull things apart and have a look. See how it's going. Remember this rubber hose that takes oil from the pump and then feeds it to the top of the tank. It's just a rubber hose. It's been submerged in oil. I knew it was not going to last very long, so this was the opportunity I needed to take that out. I'm going to replace it with some hardline now, like I should have done from the beginning, but you know, you just want to get things going, don't you? You just want to try it, and this is just an experiment for fun. I'm not going to any massive lengths. It's just a laugh. While we're in here, we got this little puppy to deal with. Luckily, it's not too far gone. Look at this thing. 22 years old. I've got a 10-year-old Alpha that's far worse than this for rust protection. Unbelievable. Okay, so I've got a few more jobs in here than I first anticipated. 2 years ago that was just like a stain. Now it's not. So cut it out. Got a spare boot trunk lid, so I took some metal off that. You know what my welding's like. It's not great, but it's in there. So yeah, but and then there's the front of the rear wheel arch. There's some in there, so I've got a bit of work to do with that. So stay tuned until I've put it all back together again, and then we can start upping the boost.
Yes.